All right, so the first thing that is useful that we need to be able to do with data is potentially collect it, which is why there's a tally column for adding up the results of something. And then we want to turn it from a frequency table into either a column graph. I'll give ourselves a heading here. Or we want to turn it into a histogram. Now, they are used in different situations, so I've got an example of each type here. Basically, what we want to do is count up how many times things have happened. I've already filled in this table. When you're counting through things, you'll cross them off on your list and go, oh, look, there's one English, and then there's one maths, and a couple of science, and we do this, and then we go back and put one next to English, and we work our way through. And when we're done, we can count there are two tally marks, 4, 3. When you get to 5, you don't put a fifth line, it'd be too hard to count, so you put a slash, so you know it's a group of 5. That is 7. And this actually is data from my year 10 class last year that I had. I'm still a bit weirded out that I had a low ability maths class and still 2 of them said maths was their favourite subject, so that was quite nice of them. And we got them to all work out how tall they were. And at this point, there is no one really short, there is no one really tall. There were 2 shortish people, 5 there in the middle, 6 there, and 5 there. Now, how do we draw these as graphs? Well, I can only scroll so far down, so I might have to make this a little smaller just so we can see everything. But when we're doing our column graph, columns, these subjects don't need to be any particular order, so we just put them in order from highest to lowest. So it's PDHPE, then science, then HISI. So PHP, science, HISI, and then unfortunately English and maths are left till last. Now, I've actually set up this grid, and if you've got to do it by hand and you're not using a computer, which at the moment you guys have got a huge advantage, you're all using computers, is that I would set these markings every third line in your grid, because that way you've got space to build your columns so they do not overlap. Now, the highest we need to go up to is 7. And so we can just go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should always think about that though, because if the numbers are too big, you might need to go up by 2s or by 3s or by 5s or by 10s. And at this point, the simple thing, and this is where for me I've got it digitally, it's good. PDH needs to go up to 7. So I start one grid to the left of that, and I grab myself a box that goes up to there. Now I could color it in if I wanted to, but there's no rule that says I have to. Science, I start one to the left, and it needs to be a box that is 4 high. HISI, one box to the left, going to one box to the right at a height of 3. And English and maths both get a height of 2 rectangles. Now our histogram. Notice these columns don't touch because there is no reason for these to be in order, but these heights are in order. Someone who is only 150 something centimeters tall is soon to become 160 if they keep growing. So we can actually group these up, and this time I actually put the edges. I don't put the columns, I put the edges. So this, actually, how many groups do we have? We've got 200, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cutoffs potentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7 cutoffs. So that would actually be 140. I should have written that in. 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. And now we draw some columns. So this time we're going to draw a rectangle. Well, technically we're drawing a rectangle of all the people that are 140 that goes nowhere. It sits flat on the axis. Probably don't need to draw it because it's sitting flat on the axis. There are 2 people at 150. Oh, well, does our scale go up to 2? Yes, it does. We'll just go back here and we'll write it in. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't need to quite go to 7, but we can still have it there. We need 2 people in this box. Then we need 5 people in the next box. And these boxes are touching because, as I said, people can move if they get a little bit taller. They wear taller shoes. If they take their shoes off and they're only wearing like something thinner, then they might go down a category. Be a bit sad. And again, we could have another flat one here, or we could just leave it out. So what is the difference here? Well, a column graph is used for categorical data. So words that don't go in order. If these were orderable, you would put it over here. So this is for numerical. Particularly grouped numerical data is good for this, and it can be used for ordinal categorical. I'm remembering last lesson, categorical was categorical nominal. It's the ones that have no order at all. So we use this for numerical or the orderable categorical ones because people can be bumped from one category into the next. Now, if it was ordinal, you'd still put the little dashes in the middle, but you would put them 2 apart for the column width. This one needs to be 3 apart so you can have a nice column and a gap in between each column.